the market saying to you early Monday, December the 18th, of just telling you that we've got just effectively just about 10 more days, technically, to the end of the year. So it means you're counting down your investment into the end of the year. So you've got to keep an eye on your investment and other eyes on the holidays. So it's all in the mix. Of course, if you look at the global markets, global traveling, winter traveling is rising. So the leisure, hospitality, and travel stocks are making a big splash around the world. Again, this is the season, by the way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our brand new Business and Markets Weekend. And just before we head into the holiday, the Christmas and the New Year holidays, the markets are moving in different directions. You saw a little bit of a profit taking, very slight one in the industrial goods and consumer goods space for the Nigerian bourse on Friday. Or week on week, however, it was 1.2% in the grade, and that's a very solid finishing line for the full second week in the new month of December. The PRVM down by 0.25% Friday. That's taking some profit off the floor. The Cairo stock market started Sunday in the green territory. The rest of the North African markets will be reopening today, 24,792 on the EGX30. That's the most watched index for the Egyptian market. The Nairobi stock market got a very sharp very deep haircut, 1.13% on Friday for the weekend. And of course, you've got a very strong 3.63% rally on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, 75,289 on Friday. Quite 2 days of back-to-back upside for the most advanced and the biggest exchange on the continent last week. Zimbabwe stock market saw a very sharp decline, 1.77%. For the ZSE on Friday, as investors pulled back a little bit, looking at the end of the year just ahead. Let's take that down and look at the what's making the headlines in East African region. Petrol prices dropped by biggest margin in Kenya. The government is trying to balance the very sharp decline in crude oil prices below $80 as we went to the weekend. This morning, London Brent trading around $77 a barrel. Prices are beginning to go up a little bit on the back of the issues around the Red Sea with the Houthi rebels from Yemen attacking ocean-going vessels in the corridor of the Red Sea. That is a major issue. So a number of international shipping lines are avoiding the Red Sea, by the way. That's good news for oil traders. So see prices climbing back up, heading back to around $80 a barrel, but still below that level as we speak this morning. But petrol prices, of course, has a bit of a correlation with what happens to global oil prices. But this decline, the Kenyan EPRA just tweaking pump prices down a little bit for Kenyans that they could use for the holiday season, by the way. In the meantime, Kenya is floating. The Customs Service floating a new payment system that is targeted at Ugandans who will be using Kenyan seaports like the one in Mombasa and elsewhere to bring in their goods into the landlocked Uganda and economy. Ethiopia is asking the bondholders for a debt relief ahead of 2024. $1 billion is the Eurobond repayment that Ethiopia would have to fix next year. So the international conference call with the bondholders last week was received with mixed feelings by creditors across the board. And the IMF is helping Ethiopia to manage that conversation as well. Let's see what happens as of today. Today is the 18th, by the way, of December. Let's see what the horizon will be for Ethiopia going into a technical default on that Eurobond repayment. About $33 million is what's on the table that Addis Ababa would have to fix. Tanzania, the IMF is proposing 3 steps for the country to address the country's FX problems. Well, let's look into the West Africa's region as we start the new week. Nigeria's inflation came in Friday stronger by 28.20% from 27.33% in the month of October. Food inflation is now around 30% effectively, and that's a whole lot of worries for folks. But the central bank governor says he sees inflation drastically down in the new year 2024. We'll see how that paces out. The World Bank has backed Nigeria's renewable energy market with an approval of $750 million US dollars. The target is about $1 billion. The 750 is the money on the table. Then the World Bank expect other international private sector investors to top that up to about $1 billion plus and bring us renewable energy supply to about 17.5 million Nigerians. And that'll be some good news, by the way. The customs head in Nigeria, Adiniji, said that Lagos accounts for about 70% of the customs total revenue, and the entire Southwest accounts for about 80% of total imports in Nigeria coming through the oceans. The city was trading the weekend at the Bank of Ghana's official window between 12.25 cities to the dollar and 11.64 to the American greenback. And finally, in West Africa, Senegal says business climate index dipped about 2.3 points in the third quarter ended September. A bit of a backward-looking data there. Let's get on to Southern Africa, where the GSC has been seeing a very strong rally ahead of the long holiday. But the South Africa is looking at the half of about 497 billion rand contingency funds to cut the country's debt. That's a whole lot issue. No succor from Eskom or Transnet. All this has been trying to be refixed. Eskom got a new CEO. Transnet is trying to rejig its operations and see how it will get the logistics business in South Africa up and running and back up to speed. Total Energies is looking to build 216 megawatts solar plant in South Africa. That's a forward-looking green energy supply into Africa's most advanced economy, while the consumer credit market in South Africa saw a modest improvement at the end of the third quarter. And AFDB has approved $105 million for Angola's agri sector reform. Despite oil and gas or hydrocarbon, Angola is also trying to make a headways as far as food sustainability, local food production is concerned. Let's just touch on North Africa. That's where we wrap it up with the Egyptian elections looking in the back pocket of President El-Sisi for a third time. But the country's looking at some support from the World Bank to launch a mandatory carbon credit market. Remember, Egypt hosted COP27 last year, so it's trying to be in tune with the rest of the world as far as climate adaptation and sustainability is concerned. The EGX has approved the capital cut down by Orascom Financial Holdings. The idea was to do a capital reduction of a few millions of shares, issued shares of the company at about 0.08 Egyptian pound, and that will help reduce the capital holdings for this particular financial services company. Of course, Orascom is that very huge company with a number of subsidiaries within construction and all of that under its umbrella. Ryanair is looking at $1.4 billion investments in Morocco for next year, 2024. Ryanair is looking at Morocco as a hub to connect Europe, mainland Europe, with North Africa, and perhaps could do a lot more business within the North African corridor and perhaps down to West Africa and a few other African destinations. We'll see how that Ryanair investment goes in Morocco next year. Tunisia's cabinet has approved economic draft laws and decrees that President Said has sent to the parliament. Let's see how this will help Tunisia be in line for that support is looking for with the International Monetary Fund. And those are your headlines as we start a brand new Business and Markets Week here at Frontier Africa Reports. Do have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you very soon.